The U.S. government is now gaining access to newly and highly advanced technology that has the capability, Jank, to gain access to Americans' most sensitive data and information. And the Trump administration has no problem with this. Do you have any problems with this, Jank? Because I feel like I do. I have enormous problems with it. And I think that you will, if you're watching at home, when you find out how they're going to surveil all of us. And as always, they say, no, this is for your own good. Now give me all your private information. I bet they won't do anything wrong with it. Tell us about it, Yes. Okay, so this week there were two articles that were published highlighting a growing concern of this sort of technology, which is understandable, and what the government says it is being used for. Note what it says it's being used for. So, according to a piece from the Wall Street Journal, in the battle against illegal immigration, the U.S. is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on tools that give federal agents easy access to the home and workplace addresses of American citizens, their social media accounts, vehicle information, flight history, law enforcement records, and other personal information, as well as data to track their daily comings and goings. The Department of Homeland Security has put these surveillance tools, including facial recognition software, location tracking, and social media scrapers, once aimed largely at suspected terrorists and drug traffickers, in the hands of federal immigration agents who can identify, research, and track virtually anyone by entering a name, license plate, or by simply taking a person's photo. And this newly expanded domestic surveillance system, a high-tech dragnet built to locate, track, and deport people residing illegally in the U.S., allows thousands of federal agents nationwide to peruse a trove of data belonging to more than 300 million people, including citizens.
Yeah, this is fair use, United States Code 17, subsection 107, fair use. This is not for monetary gain. This is for informational purposes and educational purposes. This is basically showing you, first of all, Salakia, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash. Mr. Brother Bakalah Walam, here with another hopeful edifying lesson to the elect body of Yahawah, bahasham, Rawchaa. So, this is basically showing you this is the new world order. This is a part of the new world order, total surveillance, right? And they said they're showing you here the bills, policies, and the infrastructure that Esau already has in place to bring his new world order, that enterprise that's talked about in the book of Job, that the Lord is going to what it says he disappoint the he disappoint his enterprise or something to that effect. So this is that new world order. That's what he's talking about. This surveillance, surveillance state. Everything is being watched. Everybody's being surveyed. Cameras everywhere, and they can identify you by just simple information, like she said, your ID, facial recognition, license plates. This is an infrastructure he already has in place. And I looked at a documentary some time ago. They said America is not a police state yet, but at a flick of a switch, it could be. So it's already in place, man. These people, they're still in the state of delusion. Like the Lord put these people in a state of delusion, man. A lot of these people don't know what's going on. They're still carrying on in their simple or meager vain opinions and vain minds, right? They're still going about their little meager life in their vain opinions instead of looking at what's really going on in the world. The Lord had put strong delusions on these people. Strong delusions. But basically, getting back to this video, because it's not going to be a long lesson, it's showing you, I'm going to read here, it says the newly expanded domestic surveillance system, a high-tech dragnet built to locate, track, and deport people residing illegally in the U.S. allows thousands of federal agents nationwide to persuade. I don't have my reading glasses on. I don't know what this is. So I put my reading glasses on real quick. It says, per use a trove of data belonging to more than 300 million people, including citizens. This is the this police state that they trying to put in play, right? So I'm gonna continue playing this video. It's not gonna be too long, and just basically say a couple more things about it. More or less, should be it.
So what do you know? It was never about the drug traffickers. It was never about the violent criminals. It was never about the illegal aliens or immigrants who were coming into our country. It was never about any of that, right? All they wanted was our data. That's what is for sale these days. We are the product. We are the ones that are for sale. So the Wall Street Journal spoke to multiple U.S. citizens in Maine who were targeted using this technology simply because they were trying to keep tabs on ICE agents so that they could warn people. And if you remember a few months ago, like that kind of technology was everywhere before they started cracking down on it. So one morning in January, a woman named Liz McClellan witnessed and took photos of an ICE agent making an arrest. And when she followed them to see where they were heading next, what happened was McClellan was surprised when the agent led her to her own house and blocked her driveway. Other federal officers quickly arrived, boxing in her car with their own vehicles. This is a warning, an agent told her, according to court records and a video recording. We know you live right here. And if you think the Trump administration cares about this, you would be wrong, because they're the ones who are pushing for all of this oversight. So
now, I want to speak on that. Just happened. That was more or less, this lady is in opposition of the operation of the elites, or the operation of the government, right? Which is this ICE program, right? So that's basically uh, an indication of the persecution, right? So if anybody in opposition, or anybody's in conflict, or they find you a threat to their operation, or what this government trying to push, you're going to be targeted, man. Like they found this lady. He says because she was in a protest, or whoever this lady was. She basically protesting ICE, tracking ICE to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and basically watching them. Which you have that right to watch your government. That's basically under the Constitution. You got constitutional rights to watch your government officials. But what did they do? They tracked her and said, "We know where you live. They turned the tables more or less and said, no, we're gonna pursue you. We know where you live." And like they were saying earlier, they can track people through IDs, facial recognition, any type of identification, license plates. They can track you. So this is that part of that New World Order. Surveillance, with technology, AI, everything, everybody's being surveyed, everything's being watched, so that's what they're trying to push. And like she said, you think that because that's what your current commander-in-chief, Neuro, that's what he was claiming before. He was against this deep state surveillance. He was proclaiming that during his first administration, right? But you see, he's with it, more or less. He's with it. Why? Because this is the plans of the elites of Edom, in these presidents, like we always say a lot, that these presidents are selected. They are not elected by the people of Babylon, the people of America. So like I said, this is basically a tool of persecution, or example of the persecution. Anyone that's opposing the operation of this government, you're going to be deemed as an enemy, a criminal, a terrorist, or whatever they deem you are, a dissident, So the rest of these sheeple, they're gonna go along as it says in Second Esdras. Those that consent unto them shall be found in derision and trodden underfoot. So the ones, the ones that think they got it figured out, which is the masses of the sheeple out there, they're gonna be trodden underfoot, man. Found in derision, meaning confusion. You know, they're gonna have confused looks on their face. I did what you want, like they doing now. They just following they just doing what somebody telling them to do. A lot of these idiots just following the program or what somebody telling them in efforts to act like everything's gonna be all right. They're gonna do the same. They're gonna do the same thing when it comes to the government and what they push, right? The MOTB primarily, So in order to operate in this society, which is this police state, this fourth industrial revolution, where you got surveillance and cameras, everybody's being surveyed. These sheeple out there, they just gonna follow along to their disappointment because they still got the agenda of depopulation. And they're gonna the majority of them going to get put to death. You know what I'm saying? Even the ones that consent, they're gonna get put to death. So yeah, this is just showing you the persecution. This is a demonstration of the persecution. Anyone that opposes what this government pushes their operation, you're gonna be deemed a threat to national security, a terrorist, domestic terrorist, a criminal, or whatever. Just like these protesters that's in oppose or in protest of these ICE operations, right? They're looking at these people, they're following these people, they're arresting these people. Some of them allegedly will be put to death, and they know where these people live. They know who these people are. Why? Because they're in opposition to the operation of the government.
The backing of Congress and President Trump, DHS spent a record $425 million on surveillance tech in the past year, a 17% increase from the prior year. Federal spending is on pace to set another record in 2026, according to an analysis of federal contract data by the Journal. So, of course, thankfully, civil rights groups have filed multiple lawsuits against DHS alleging that their use of surveillance tools to revoke visas and arrest immigrants without warrants or to even threaten bystanders observing federal agents, all of this is a giant violation of the Constitution. But again, DHS just brushes it off because they have all of the money behind them. They have the backing of all the tech bros. They have the backing of the entire government right now.
So yeah, that's basically it, man. Like it says in Isaiah 19, the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst, and the spirit of America is your constitutional rights. It says that in Isaiah, and it also says, I think in the Good News Translation in Second Ezra chapter 15, I think it's 15, that two governments shall be at at odds with one another, opposing the legitimate government or something like that, man. Opposing the let me see. Uh, the government shall be at odds. Yeah, Second Ezra chapter 15 and 16, it says there will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower. Damn, what the fuck? Salakia. Goddamn devil. This is Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 16. It says there will be great political turmoil with one group trying to overpower another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government, right? This legitimate government is supposed to be the Constitution, you know. So this government is being basically overlooked. The rules of this government, which is basically supposed to be governed by the Constitution, your so-called rights, is being ignored. That's why you have issues with people exercising their rights, mainly with these protesters and everybody else that's the issues of the First Amendment and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it. I hope it's edifying to the elect, and I'm gonna call like Allah, Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawahshi, bahasham, Rawchaa Qadash, Shalom. To the next time, Yahawah Ratazah, which means Lord willing, and why abide babal.